Hello students, today let us see how group decision making and leadership could affect social change. The problems and challenges that we face today, global warming, religious and ethnic conflict, the maldistribution of wealth and opportunity, the decline of citizen interest and engagement in the political process, the increasing ineffectiveness of government and the shift from an industrial to a knowledge-based society and from a national to a global economy calls for adaptive, creative solutions that will require a new kind of leadership. And effective leadership includes making it easy for others to offer their unique perspectives and talents, speak up when they have problems, take initiative, make appropriate decisions, work with others, and share responsibility for the health of the team, organization, or community. And effective leaders should make sure that the group decision process goes smoothly. Group decision making, also known as collaborative decision making, is a situation faced when individuals collectively make a choice from the alternatives before them. And according to the idea of synergy, decisions made collectively tend to be more effective than decisions made by a single individual. Factors that impact other social group behaviors also affect group decisions. For example, groups high in cohesion been noted to have a negative effect on group decision making and hence on group effectiveness. And also, when individuals make decisions as part of a group, there is a tendency to exhibit a bias towards discussing shared information. So, group might share information with others which they already know as opposed to unshared information. And when we are in a group, other people have an incredibly powerful effect on us. Groups can kill our creativity, allow us to slack off, skew our decision making and make us clam up, or sometimes they could even inspire us to work harder. And the seeds of group behavior are sown even before its members meet. Just knowing that some people are on our side and others are not begins to shape our social identity, which is called group affiliation. And once we are in a group, it starts to shape us through conformity, pulling our attitudes and behavior in line with others, or threatening us with ostracism if we dare to rebel. And because group members are often very similar in background and values, they are quick to adapt majority decisions, which psychologists call groupthink. And groupthink could lead to fewer creative ideas and less innovation. And they have also found that groups tend to make decisions that are more extreme than those of its individual members, which is called group polarization. Sometimes group could also have some positive effect on us. If we take the example of social facilitation, group could spur on us to greater achievements. They could push us to put more amount and quality of work. But other times groups encourage social loafing, which could result in a drop in our productivity, sometimes by as much as 50% or perhaps more. So we can see that clearly group thinking, group polarization, shared information bias and social loafing are not ideal or not at all effective to make good group decision. Therefore, leaders have to make sure that they deal with all these problems. So how can they combat all these things? Is they can deal with groupthink by nurturing authentic dissent. Now dissenters will not be encouraged by the groups. People who disagree with others' opinions or ideas may be shunned out by the group members. So dissenters need to get supported by the leaders. And psychologists have also found that people display group polarization when together. Initial performances actually become exaggerated by group discussions. So this could be reduced by avoiding homogeneity in group composition. And psychologists have long known that the practice of brainstorming is a sure road to fewer new ideas and less innovation than that produced when we work individually. Because in groups, we loaf, feel anxious, and our own ideas are soon forgotten while we listen to others. So this could be dealt by making the group members write down the ideas before they come to the meeting. And finally, the most baffling of our behaviors in group is our inability to share information effectively. Because instead of revealing vital information known only to ourselves, time and again research has shown that groups talk things everyone already knows. So this counterproductive behavior can be reduced by recalling relevant information before meetings and ensuring that each is aware of others' expertise. Social change model of leadership. Work began on this model in 1994, and this model has continued to be worked on, having undergone 3 versions already, and the initial research was done at the Higher Education Research Institute of University of California, Los Angeles. The social change model of leadership development is a result of creative and collaborative effort by members of higher education community to develop an untraditional and innovative leadership development model. And the goals of this models are twofold. First, it seeks to promote the increase of self-knowledge and understanding of one's values, attitudes, and aspirations. And second, it seeks to promote the leadership competencies in which the individual and the group will be mobilized towards collaborative action. The model views leadership as a process rather than a position, recognizing that every individual has potential to become a leader. Moreover, leadership as a process distinguishes actions, influences, and values that comes about in the journey to effect change. And there are 3 domains in this model: the individual, the group, and the community. Taking the individual perspective, the model sees what personal qualities would be most supportive of group functioning and positive social change. And at the group perspective, it sees how can the collaborative leadership development process be designed not only to facilitate the development of the desired individual qualities, but also to effect positive social change. And at the community or society level, it sees towards what social end is the leadership activity directed, and what kinds of service activities are most effective in energizing the group and in developing desired personal qualities in the individual. Corresponding to and within the domains of leadership model, there are 7 principles or the 7 C's of leadership, which are consciousness of self, congruence, commitment, collaboration, common purpose, controversy with civility, and citizenship. Now let us see what all these principles are individually. Consciousness of self in itself suggests is being aware of the beliefs, values, attitudes, and emotions that motivate one to take action. And the key to being able to do this is to develop consciousness of others as well. And congruence is understanding and being consistent with one's own beliefs, values, and strengths and limitations. It is interdependent with consciousness of self. Now coming to see what the commitment principle of leadership says, it is the psychic energy that motivates the individual to serve and that drives the collective effort. It also implies passion, intensity, duration, and directed both towards group activity and intended outcomes. And commitment requires knowledge of self. Collaboration. Leadership as a group process, it is relational, and therefore it should encourage groups to transcend individual goals, interests, and behaviors. And it is vital that group members explore differences in individual values, ideas, affiliations, visions, and identities. Now coming to see common purpose. To work with shared aims and values enables the group to engage in collective analysis of the issues at hand and the tasks to be undertaken. So common purpose would be best achieved when all the members of the group share in the vision and participate actively in articulating the purpose and goals of the activity. The next principle is controversy with civility. Well, differences will exist in all the groups, and differences can be accepted and resolved through open and honest talk. And it requires trust among the group members, because conflict needs to be resolved and it should be made sure that it is integrated into the common purpose. Now the last principle of leadership is citizenship. It says that people should not merely be membership but should engage in active community work, civic responsibility which works towards social change. Therefore, the practice of good citizenship should and needs to happen at every level of the model. Now let us see the values of leadership. In the broadest sense, we see the purpose of leadership as encompassing the following values: to create a supportive environment where people can grow, thrive, and live in peace with one another, and to promote harmony with nature, thereby providing sustainability for future generations, to create communities of reciprocal care and shared responsibility where every person matters and each person's welfare and dignity is respected and supported. Values also underlie the leadership process. Given our view that leadership is a group process whereby individuals work together in order to foster change and transformation, effective leadership necessarily requires that the group function according to certain principles and values, and that individual members of the group exemplify certain qualities and values that contribute to the effective functioning of the group. Let us see some of the group and the individual qualities that are desirable for effective leadership. Group qualities should include collaboration, shared purpose, disagreement with respect, division of labor, and a learning environment. Now, collaboration. This is the cornerstone of an effective group leadership process. While groups can also function in a leader-follower or command and control mode, collaboration is a more effective approach because it empowers each individual, builds trust, and capitalizes on their strength. And the other group quality is shared purpose. This requirement addresses the fundamental goal of the group effort. What are the desired changes or transformation toward which the leadership effort is directed? What needs to be changed and why? The group's purpose thus reflects the shared aim and goals and values of the group members. So in many respects, reaching agreement on a common purpose can be most difficult challenge for any leadership group. And in the early stages of group functioning, a good deal of time and effort may be consumed in pursuit of this goal. Coming to disagreement with respect, this principle recognizes that differences in viewpoint among individual group members are both inevitable and desirable, but such differences must be engaged civilly in an environment of mutual respect and trust. Now, any collaborative effort requires that each member of the group make a significant contribution to the overall effort, and that all members be clear not only about their individual responsibilities, but also the responsibilities and contributions of the other individual members. The most effective group leadership effort is the one that can serve as a collaborative learning environment for its members. Members come to see the group as a place where they can not only learn about each other, themselves, and the leadership effort, but also acquire the shared knowledge, interpersonal competencies, and technical skills that the group will require to function effectively. Now, let us see the individual qualities that are desirable for effective group functioning. And it include self-knowledge, authenticity and integrity, commitment, empathy or understanding of others, and competence. Self-knowledge. This means that being aware of the beliefs, values, attitudes, emotions, and that motivate one to seek change and transformation. It also implies an awareness of the particular talents and strengths together with the personal limitations that one brings to the leadership efforts. And authenticity and integrity, these qualities require that one's action be consistent with one's most deeply felt values and beliefs. It is perhaps the most critical factor in building trust within the leadership group. And commitment implies passion, intensity, and persistence, as I already said. So it supplies a psychic and physical energy that motivates the individual to serve, that drives the collective effort, and that also sustains the effort during difficult times. Empathy or the understanding of other is the capacity to put yourself in other person's shoe, and it is critical to effective collaboration, building trust, resolving differences in viewpoint. It also requires that cultivation and use of what is probably our most neglected communication skill, which is listening. So empathy also includes listening skills. Competence. In the context of any group leadership activity, Competence refers to knowledge, skill, and technical expertise that are required for successful completion of the transformation effort. Now, what is important, having seen all these group and individual qualities, is the integration of those qualities. An important aspect of the 10 individual and group qualities described is that they are interactive and therefore mutually reinforcing. The quality of any group leadership activity will be enhanced if every group understands that each of the 10 qualities reinforces every other quality. For example, if we take how group qualities reinforce individual qualities, individuals' experience with group members is most likely to enhance self-awareness, commitment, collaboration, authenticity. Self-awareness and competence also gets enhanced when feedbacks are given in a more friendly way. Individuals could also develop empathy out of the feedbacks they receive. So that's how individual qualities could be reinforced by the group qualities. Now let us see how individual qualities could reinforce group qualities. The facilitative group leadership provides for the collaborative group leadership process is facilitated when the individual members are self-aware, authentic, committed, empathic. And self-knowledge is critical to understand shared purpose and to work in collaboration with group members. And empathy of others' cause could also reinforce this quality. Now the final step is to link the 10 group and individual qualities of effective leadership to the value-based goals of the leadership effort. Leaders need to ask, is the effort succeeding? Are the observed changes consistent with the group's shared values? Is the institution or system becoming more equitable, more just, and more democratic? View of effective leadership assumes that these or similar values would be included in the leadership group's shared purpose. Further, the group's capacity to realize such values through its efforts at transformation will depend in part on its individual members' level of self-knowledge and of competence, and on their ability to function collaboratively with authenticity and empathy, and to express disagreement, criticism, and controversy with respect. Conversely, the leadership group will find it very difficult to fulfill such values and aims if it functions competitively, if it cannot decide on a shared purpose, or if it fails to effect a meaningful division of labor, or if its members disagree with each other disrespectfully. So leaders have to make sure that the group functions effectively, keeping in view all these group and the individual qualities. Now let us see some of the effective group decision making and leadership efforts for group success. It involves identifying the decision to be made, analyzing the issue under discussion, establishing criteria, brainstorming potential solutions, evaluating options and selecting the best one, implementing the solution, and monitoring and evaluating the outcome. Now let us take the identifying the decision to be made. Before beginning to gather information and list alternatives, it is important for a group to understand clearly what they are trying to decide so that they have a goal on which to focus their discussions. And analyzing the issue under discussion involves, once the group have defined their goals, that is the decision to be made or the problem to be overcome, examining the data and resources that they already have and identifying what additional information they may need is necessary, and identifying the criteria conditions that would determine whether a chosen solution is successful involves establishing the criteria. And ideally, if a solution is feasible, the groups should be moved forward and let to meet the needs of every group member, and the group may need to rank the criteria in order of importance. Brainstorming potential solution. Now, using the resources and the information that the group has collected so far, the group should brainstorm for potential solutions to the problem or the decision identified. Next, they would have to evaluate options and select the best one. Once they have a list of potential solutions, now they need to evaluate the best out of the alternatives. And the next step in the process would be to implement the solution. This involves identifying the resources necessary to implement the decision, as well as the potential obstacles, and then taking action. And the last step in effective group decision making and leadership step is to monitoring and evaluating the outcome. Now, having seen how groups should take decision and how facilitative leadership would help in bringing about social change, let us see a case study of Knick-Knack Nook project, which has successfully embodied all these group and individual qualities and has brought some changes in the society and community. Jane Pivick, a community psychologist, was asked to be the volunteer community service learning coordinator for her son's school, an independent middle school for grades 6 to 9. And this school was one of the 3 on a small island in British Columbia, Canada. Concurrently at the time, a Zero Initiative project intended to enhance environmental sustainability was gaining support within the community. The one missing element of that initiative was the lack of a reuse it store on the island, resulting in residents throwing off good or giving them away. So the psychologist and coordinator of the Zero Waste Initiative thought that the development and running of a reuse it store would be a great project for youth's community service and learning, which would also provide a needed resource for the island. So the first stage in this project was to mobilize students and interested community members through a visioning meeting in order to determine what this place would look like, how it would be run, and what the store would be called. So finally, a date for the community visioning meeting was set and venue determined. The psychologist spent the day with the students of middle class, especially of grade 8 and 9. 56 students were involved in the project, and they were asked to draw diagram of how they want the store to be run or how it should look like. And the drawings included from simple line to elaborate painting pictures. And these diagrams were taken to the meeting venue, and a public announcement was also made in the local weekly newspaper, and invitations were also sent out to councillors in the municipal government. And finally, 130 members attended the meeting, out of which 96 were students, 34 community members, and 3 out of the 7 councillors of municipal corporation. And quick after introductions were made about the purpose of the meeting, the members were divided into brainstorming groups. Each group consisted of a group grade 9 student facilitator, a grade 8 student, and mixed age students and adults. And the questions that were asked were, how should this store look like, how should it be run, and what would it be called? There, the Knick-Knack Nook was born. The participants envisioned a community meeting place that was creative, colorful with funky art, and had spaces for younger children to play or read books. And they envisioned spaces to sell books, clothing, small appliances, linens, knickknacks, and toys. The meeting created an incredible buzz in the community. People were amazed at how well the students took leadership role and were able to efficiently run the meeting. Phrases such as incredible, I didn't know how they could do it, were common to be heard. And one of the councillor of municipal corporation who attended the meeting was so inspired that they accepted to support the cause and soon gave them 1,000 square feet land for the cause. So this shows that the Knick-Knack Nook project, which focused on the greater environmental sustainability, was then a great success because it made sure that there was no power imbalances and students were equally given opportunities to speak, and they were involved right from planning to building to running the store. And adults were also included in all stages of the project. So we can say that Knick-Knack Nook was a great success because it involved the group and the individual qualities that we saw earlier. So community psychologists who want to work for the betterment of the community should consider that they do not succumb to any ineffective group behaviors, and that they should deal with group thinking, group polarization, social loafing, etc. there would be no doubt that any project could be a success. And what we can take away from the Knick Knack Nuke project is that by following all these systematically and ensuring that evaluation is done regularly and group shares the same value and work in collaboration cooperation, any project would be a success and community psychologists would be able to create what they always dream about. So it may be simple to say that creating a community where a richer and fuller life could be possible for all the citizens, but it is difficult in implementation. But by following all these leadership qualities and by dealing with the group decision making process effectively, this could be achieved.